Welcome to the Daily WIP, the show we discover everyone is a media company. On the show today we're talking about doing campaign versus episodical content. I think most marketers who are listening to this video will have done a lot of videos in the campaign phase of work. So you will have, say, a product or a service and you'll have a new release happening, a new thing, or an update, and you'll do a campaign about it. Or you have a repositioning, you'll do a campaign about it, and there'll be a number of assets, a number of this, that, and the other, and you'll do it, and then you'll post it out, and then there'll be a little bit of tracking out when, and then it's over, and then the audience hasn't got anything else to watch in that thing. Now the other way of going about it is to go episodical, and go episodical even including campaign-based work. And this fundamentally shifts how your audience reacts to you. Something that a lot of people were talking about at Content Marketing World was around building audience, and it was about building audience repeatably for consistent followership, and that really means about getting people who start to create a habit around watching your content. And if you're doing a campaign, you do the campaign within an episodical piece. I mean, the most extreme version of it, something I was thinking about, was that you make random mood films that tie to your your positioning, that don't really have anything to say, but they're just mood based, and you give them episodes, you give them numbers of an episode, even though they're totally random and disconnected. When you think about all of your campaign work then being a part of a thread, which is a different way of looking at episodical, you can start to have campaign after campaign on the same thread for an audience, and there might even be content in between that take them from one to the other. And I think this was just a lot more effective than just having bespoke campaigns that come and go, and that you'll be able to get your traffic that is elsewhere. So say from your marketing side or from Twitter, you can tell them about it, but it's that disconnection of them knowing that something else is coming that will mean that maybe your conversion rate to people who actually watch it is a bit lower. I think a lot of this whole episodical stuff, and I think there's a lot in it. I think almost everything people do will become episodical, whether it's got an episode name on it or it's a release schedule. But there's some sort of sequential release of content for these brands, which means that the audience is expecting it. They can start to trust that it's going to be there. And by having campaigns and product launches and about the company videos and all these other types of videos that can happen, which are from the outset don't look connected, if you can make connections between them and turn them into episodical, I just think that you'll be able to attract and retain an audience a lot more. And that attract and retain is really based on what sort of engagement they give you during the viewing process. I would say that the ability for people to engage is, it's all possible, but for them to actually engage, if the content is come and go, so that you do a big launch and it's exciting to you because you're the company who did it, but for them it's just a video out of nowhere, and then they're being asked to engage in this thing when they haven't built up a rapport or anything. With that, I would say that if you can bring some sort of level of thread between all of the separate things that you're doing, so that there is an expectation it's there, and there is a habit to engage with that content. Maybe people feel a lot more comfortable to comment on videos and share and everything when they have a bit more of a connection to that company making videos. If you release a brand video or a campaign-based video every few weeks, every few months, they may not have built up enough trust to be able to do those sorts of activities. It can be a little bit nerve-wracking to feel like you're the one putting yourself out there, making comments on those videos and making replies and likes and reshares and all those things when you don't have any sort of relationship with them. So that's one thing of having your campaign-based work going into a thread. The other piece of it is that with the whole idea of people being able to follow along things, is that they can also follow along backwards as well. So your big campaign around this new thing might be called episode 22, and if that's happened, they're probably, if they're really into it, they're probably wanting to know what episode 21 was about, and episode 20, and all the way back to episode 5, and where did it all begin? What was episode 1? The interesting thing with this show that we're doing, this Daily WIP, is that episode 1 or episode 0 has still had the most amount of views, and it keeps going up because I think people are going back to go and see what this thing is. You know, all up, the total number of viewers and audience in total is going up slowly, and the people who are repeatedly watching the new episodes is going up slowly as well. So we're building this retained audience that will watch the next video. But it's really intriguing that people will then go back, and I'll talk to somebody who has just found this channel or this thread, and they'll say, yeah, I just watched a few of them. And when I asked them, you know, how did you know which ones were connected? They said, well, it's pretty obvious because there's episode numbers on them. You know, so from the outside that is pretty obvious. But when you think about it, or probably if you're a brand, probably almost all of your stuff does not have episode numbers on it, and it won't even have maybe 1 of 5 or any of those things which allow people to connect content together. And you may have posted it in different places, or it's not posted in a defined playlist or any of these things, and so the stuff is pretty hard to link between. And then you also have to remember that people are on the internet, so they're inundated with a billion videos, and then you've got one and it's totally disconnected to the next one, and then you're expecting them to find it. So I think just make it really easy for them. Make it just, you know, so easy, and just maybe even have multiple threads of things which all have episode numbers, and just see what happens. We've got some things that we're going to experiment with in this area, and yeah, so just give it a go. All right, see you tomorrow.